Michael Saylor announced today that they can basically sell up to $1.25 billion worth of Bitcoin for reserve building. Michael Saylor said Strategy announces a digital credit capital framework designed to strengthen a digital credit, enhance liquidity, preserve long-term Bitcoin exposure, and support long-term value creation. Strategy has increased its USD reserve to $2.55 billion, representing 17.4 months of dividend coverage. The USD reserve may be used only for dividends and interest expense and will be maintained at a minimum of 12 months. The dividend rate has been increased by 50 BPS to 12% effectively for record dates in July 2026. We will continue to evaluate the rate monthly. Our corporate objective is for Strategy to trade over time at $99 to $100. Strategy has established purchase programs for up to 1 billion of our digital credit securities and up to 1 billion MicroStrategy. This will create flexibility to accreditably buy securities during market dislocations. Repurchases will not be funded from the USD reserve. Strategy has established a Bitcoin monetization program under which we may sell Bitcoin to fund our USD reserve, dividends, and interest expense repurchases of our digital credit securities and MicroStrategy under our repurchase programs. With 2.55 billion of USD reserve and 1.25 billion of Bitcoin monetization capacity for reserve building, Strategy has 3.8 billion dividend coverage, representing 25.9 months. Strategy expects to remain disciplined in its use of MicroStrategy issuance, particularly when the stock trades at or near 1x NAV. So basically, they could be selling over $1.25 billion of Bitcoin over the course of time, potentially over the next few years.
Strategy has now gone from the biggest Bitcoin buyer, having spent $60 billion buying Bitcoin. They're now a seller. He can hide and say we're still a net buyer. He's not. He's going to be a net seller now. He needs to sell Bitcoin to pay the dividends on the preferreds, to raise the reserves, to cover the interest and principal obligation on the debt, and to buy back stock. And to buy back, he sold some preferreds at 100. Why not buy them back at 80, right? That's what he's thinking. Or I should buy back my common. The common's at a huge discount. So I don't see how the market is going to absorb this shift where the biggest buyer becomes the biggest seller. And it's not just Strategy. A lot of people bought knowing that Strategy was going to buy. That was kind of their comfort, their safety buyer. Hey, there's a bid in the markets. They're going to keep on buying. So I'm going to buy on his coat strings. But I think now that the markets are anticipating that Strategy is a seller, it's going to be the reverse. Oh, Strategy is going to sell. Let me get out first.
Peter Schiff says MicroStrategy is now a Bitcoin seller under its just announced Bitcoin monetization program. It may sell Bitcoin for three purposes: to raise up to 1.25 billion to fund its USD reserve, pay preferred dividends and debt interest, and to fund $1 billion of preferred and $1 billion of common stock buybacks. So this could have a huge impact on how people view Bitcoin, considering that Strategy is the biggest holder of Bitcoin and that the biggest proponent of Bitcoin and not selling your Bitcoin. And now basically, in order to fund their own company, what they owe to the holders and preferred holders is to sell the Bitcoin, which is the reason why people bought into their company in the first place. Since around the time that he announced this, we did see a drop in the Bitcoin price, but we have seen it go back up to where it was, and we will see how the markets react to the news that MicroStrategy can be selling over $1.2 billion of Bitcoin. People's responses to this are mostly negative because people feel that Michael Saylor basically said never sell your Bitcoin, and yet now here he is using it as a reserve to fund his own companies. So far, it looks like the market is handling that news well. Obviously, if there's any large sells on the Bitcoin market, people could go into a fear mode and we could see a drop in the Bitcoin price. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen down below.